Masculine energy doesn't disappear when a man gets weak. It disappears while he still thinks everything is fine. The most dangerous part is that you don't feel it happening, but women notice the shift long before you do. There's something most men never notice about themselves until it starts costing them attraction. It's not money, it's not looks, and it's not even confidence in the way people usually talk about it. It's something quieter, more subtle. Masculine energy doesn't disappear in one moment. It fades through small behaviours you think are harmless. And the disturbing part is this: women notice it long before you do. So what are the signs that your masculine energy is slipping while you still think everything is normal? In this video, you're going to understand 5 psychological patterns that signal a decline in masculine presence, not in a toxic or exaggerated way, but in a grounded, behavioural sense.
We're talking about emotional stability, decision-making presence, communication tone, and subtle social dynamics that shape how you are perceived in relationships. This isn't theory from internet opinions. It's rooted in behavioural psychology, attachment research, and observational studies on attraction patterns. And here's the promise. Once you see these signs, you stop guessing what went wrong in your interactions and start correcting the behaviours that silently weaken your presence. Let's get into it. Imagine a simple moment. She asks you a basic question, maybe about your plans or why you made a decision. Instead of answering directly, you start adding layers. You justify. You explain your reasoning in detail. You try to make sure she fully understands your intention. On the surface, it feels responsible, respectful even. But psychologically, something else is happening. In behavioral psychology, over-explaining is often linked to a subtle need for approval. It signals that your internal decisions are not fully grounded. And when decisions don't feel grounded, masculine presence weakens. Not because you are wrong, but because you are negotiating your own stance in real time. The fix is simple, but uncomfortable at first. Say less. Mean more. Let your decisions stand without constant justification, because clarity is perceived as strength, and strength doesn't need constant explanation. And this leads directly into something even more subtle. You're in a normal interaction. Everything is fine. Then she takes slightly longer to reply, or her tone feels a little different. And suddenly, your internal state shifts. You start analysing. You adjust your behaviour. You try to fix the energy. This is where masculine presence quietly weakens. In attachment theory, emotional stability is a key marker of perceived safety. When your emotional state fluctuates based on small external changes, your presence feels less anchored. It's not about being cold. It's about emotional self-regulation, the ability to remain steady even when the interaction is uncertain. Practical shift? Pause before reacting. Don't interpret immediately. Let uncertainty exist without rushing to resolve it. Because grounded men don't chase emotional stability outside themselves. They carry it internally. Now let's go deeper into something most people completely miss. This one is extremely quiet. You make a comment, then quickly check her reaction. You share an opinion, then slightly adjust your tone depending on how she responds. You tell a story, then watch her face for approval. None of this feels obvious, but it creates a pattern. In social psychology, this is known as external validation dependence, and it subtly shifts perceived leadership in the interaction. Because instead of projecting a stable identity, you are continuously calibrating yourself based on external feedback. And over time, that reduces perceived masculine direction. The shift is internal. Before speaking, anchor your point. After speaking, don't immediately search for confirmation. Let your words exist without chasing response validation. Because presence is not what you say, it's what you don't need back. And this connects to the next subtle signal. Think of a typical scenario: where to go, what to do, what to eat, small decisions. Instead of suggesting, you ask. Instead of leading, you defer. Instead of guiding, you wait. At first, this seems respectful, but psychologically, it creates a pattern of non-directional presence. In attraction psychology, direction is not control, it is structure. It signals that you can guide situations without force or insecurity. When direction is missing, the interaction becomes reactive instead of led, and reactive energy is rarely associated with strong masculine presence. The fix? Start small. Make simple decisions without over-consulting. Offer direction naturally, not dominance, just clarity. Now, before we go further, here's something important you need to hear. What if masculine energy isn't something you lose, but something you slowly leak through everyday behavior? And if that's true, how many of your daily interactions are quietly shaping how you're perceived, without you noticing at all? Let's continue. This one is the most overlooked. You meet someone, things feel good, and quickly your emotional investment rises. You start imagining outcomes. You adjust your schedule. You prioritize the connection before it has stabilized. And internally, you think this is sincerity, but psychologically, it creates imbalance. In relationship dynamics, overinvestment too early shifts emotional polarity. Instead of steady progression, it creates emotional dependency signals. And when that happens, masculine presence weakens, not because you care, but because your emotional center moves too quickly outside yourself. The correction is pacing. Match emotional energy gradually. Let connection develop before commitment deepens internally. Because strength is not about feeling less, it's about pacing what you feel. Here's what all of this really comes down to. Masculine energy is not loud, it's not aggressive, and it's not performative. At its core, it's about internal stability expressed externally. When a man loses that stability, even slightly, everything else starts to shift. Communication changes, presence changes, even the way people respond to him changes. And the hardest part is, it rarely happens dramatically. It happens slowly, through small compromises in behavior, attention, and emotional control. But here's the deeper truth. You don't rebuild masculine energy by trying to act different. You rebuild it by removing the behaviors that constantly pull you out of yourself. Less over-explaining, less emotional reactivity, less validation seeking, more grounded presence, more internal direction. And when that shifts, people feel it before you even say a word. Not because you became someone new, but because you returned to a more centered version of yourself. If this resonated with you, take a moment and think honestly. Which one of these patterns have you noticed in yourself recently? Because awareness is only the beginning. Adjustment is where change actually happens. And I'm curious, which of these 5 surprised you the most? Share it in the comments. I read them. And in the next video, we're going deeper into something even more revealing. The subtle behaviors that make women test your emotional strength without saying a single word. Because once you understand these patterns, you stop reacting blindly. You start seeing the structure behind attraction itself.